This is the latest 16-inch. No, here's the thing. I love seeing other video reviews as much as the next person, but the problem is those reviewers literally just had the device for maybe a couple hours, maybe a few days, quickly review it, and then just call it a day. And then afterwards, they let go of the device and go back to their previous machine. And no, I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. Sometimes we do need those quick video reviews, especially on a newly released product. Just unfortunately, due to that, there's a lot of crucial information that's missed. Now, I own this 16-inch MacBook Pro within the first week of its release, and I had a lot of great experience with it and some not so great. And that's what I want to go ahead and talk about. Even in 2020, this is still a really well spec'd out machine. The unit we have here is the entry-level model, and they still have two color choices to choose from. You still got this option to choose space gray or the classic iconic silver. For just the entry-level model, like this one, you get 16 gigabytes of RAM. You have a 6-core i7 Intel processor with a dedicated GPU, and AMD Radeon Pro with 4 gigabytes of VRAM. And you also have flash storage capacity of 512 gigabytes. And to put these specs in perspective, a 13-inch MacBook Pro with similar specs will actually cost about $2,200. And that latest machine does not have a dedicated GPU. So if power is your concern, it's clear that the 16-inch MacBook Pro is the better value. And for any travelers, for a 16-inch Mac, it's not really that big. Here's a quick overview, side-by-side comparison, how it stacks up against my iPhone 11 Pro, my iPad Pro 10.5, and of course, right underneath that is the 11-inch MacBook. Side-by-side comparison from the 15-inch to the 16-inch, there's not that much of a noticeable size difference between the two. In fact, it actually fits in my backpack, which is only made for a 15-inch MacBook, not a 16-inch, and this fits in just fine. Structure-wise, this machine has the same structure quality that you expect to find on these latest generation MacBooks. It's so sturdy, there's no chassis flex. You could probably use this as a food tray. Not saying that you should, but you can if you want to. But again, you do run the risk, since it is made out of aluminum, it can easily dent, so you still have to be somewhat careful. But when it comes to answering phone calls, that Apple ecosystem is amazing on this machine. Since the microphone quality has been significantly improved, I actually find myself answering calls on my MacBook Pro, then actually switch it to my iPhone. And then another one of my favorite features is that Apple Sidecar, which allows you to use your iPad as an extended display. It not only supports that, but you can actually use your tablet as a sketch tablet. And depending on the iPad you're using, there is a small delay, but this is perfect because an actual drawing tablet costs a lot more. And if you recall that annoying speaker pop that these 16-inch MacBook Pros were experiencing, it's gone. After a few firmware updates, Apple actually resolved and fixed this issue. It's been about 3 months now since I last heard that pop, so it doesn't happen anymore. It's been resolved. And then to this very day, I still think that this Mac has probably the best sounding speakers on any laptop. The bass is just unreal. So if you have the chance, you have to listen to these speakers in person. And I will admit, I was wrong. It was actually a good thing that Apple replaced the USB-A ports and swapped them with USB-C ports. These Thunderbolt 3 ports are fantastic. I mean, more and more device now supports USB-C. It's really convenient just traveling with that one single cable to do all your data transfer with those devices. Now, I do wish that we still had an SD card adapter. So yes, in case you didn't understand me, these latest MacBook Pros still do not have an SD card reader, which means you have to still rely on an adapter like this one or other smaller alternatives. Another disappointing thing is the webcam, as it's only able to shoot at 720p, but this new microphone array has been significantly improved, so gone are the days of terrible laptop mics. But honestly, if I ever have to answer a FaceTime call, I'm just gonna switch to my iPhone 11 Pro, especially since this smaller camera is capable to achieve 4K. It's a real darn shame that this one, for double the cost, is stuck at 720p. And then when it comes to the keyboard, remember that 4th generation butterfly switches, the one that had so many issues that an extended warranty had to be called, and a bunch of other problems also followed right after. Well, that is no longer the case. Apple listened to its consumers and they went back to their old reliable scissor switches, which I really do like. They have the perfect amount of throw, so you have the proper feedback, and they're not really that loud. They do make a clicking noise, but I mean, like, from a distance, it doesn't get that loud. So now there's no fear of accidentally missed keystrokes or double tapping on certain keys when typing up a document. And rumor has it that this keyboard mechanism is also coming to the 14-inch MacBook Pro. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, it's already released, and I could assure you, it's a good keyboard. However, when it comes to the touch bar on top, many people have mixed feelings about it. Some people love it, some people hate it. Me, I'm okay with it. I learned to adapt, and I don't have any issues with it at all anymore. I did at first, but not anymore. I do like that Apple does allow us to customize these shortcuts to do other things, so it's fully customizable. You can move things around, so if you accidentally do have a habit of pressing on certain things when you're hitting the number keys, you could rearrange it to your liking. And since this new hardware has been out on the market for quite some time, there's a lot more support for third-party apps to also utilize this as well. I do like how the touch bar and the escape key are not just physical, but also are separated. Before, these things used to be all together. It was literally one giant bar. I liked having a separate physical escape key because it allows the user to have more control for overrides, I guess. And then the separate touch ID is away from the Siri, so I no longer accidentally activate Siri or other toggles that you may have on your touch bar. Weight wise, it's not really that heavy as you may think. I'm able to rest this laptop on my lap just fine, and as long as I'm not doing anything that requires a lot of processing power, it doesn't really heat up as much as you may think. Just if you're wearing shorts, that's a different story. This new fan design doesn't get as loud as like the 15 or my 13-inch MacBook Pro does, and the heat dissipation actually spreads out evenly throughout the bottom body. And the benefit with that new larger body design, it actually has a larger battery. It's a tad shy of being a 100 watt-hour battery, which is, I guess, Apple's marketing pitch for this laptop, which I'm sure you've heard many others also say this, that this machine is the only laptop that actually meets the minimum requirements to actually board on a plane from the TSA or something like that. That's like one of the pitches a lot of journalists been saying about this 16-inch Mac. And another marketing pitch, which is somewhat of a bluff, is that 11-hour battery life rating that Apple advertised this machine to have. Well, that's a big load of maybe if you install a movie on this machine, have it on replay with 10% brightness, maybe you could come close to 11 hours. That would be the only way I could see somebody achieving that 11-hour battery life. But under regular usage, I'm always able to get anywhere from 5 to 6 hours. And then when I'm editing a video, the most I could get is probably like 2 to 3 hours, realistically. But when I'm actually working on like a big project, like rendering a 4K video, doing color correction, or editing a photo either on Photoshop or Lightroom, the fans do kick in at a high RPM, but this machine is able to flow through that workload just fine. Even with just 16 gigs of RAM instead of 32, that's plenty enough for me. And then when it comes to display, I really do like this Retina display. The slightly thinner bezels on the side do look fantastic. And surprisingly, for a glossy screen, it doesn't generate a lot of glare. Of course, I will still move out of the way if there is glare though. I mean, who wouldn't? But when it comes to color accuracy, photography work concerns, Apple Retina displays on their laptops, they always have a good reputation when it comes to photographers. So color accuracy is really good on these laptops. And now the big question, how would I conclude my experience with this 16-inch MacBook Pro? Well, as I demonstrated, if you plan on using this machine for video editing or photography work, you don't have to max out your MacBook Pro because these things can get pricey. There is an 8TB option if you can select, which is nuts for any laptop with flash storage. But even with the entry specs like this one, it's not really necessary to max out this machine because this thing has enough horsepower to finish even the more high demanding tasks. This enormous trackpad is still one of my favorite trackpads on any laptop. There's so much real estate space, it's easy to navigate from one side of the screen to the other without lifting off your finger. So there you have it. That is my experience with this 16-inch Mac. It's now become my main machine that I've been using for several months now. That not only helps me power this YouTube channel, but also allows me to finish all of my other projects when I'm traveling. I have no regrets so far by picking just the entry-level model. It's been serving me very well. So if you are planning on picking this one up, check the affiliate link in the video description down below, as that link will be automatically updated in case a sale does go on, so you can easily save some extra money. Now, if you want to see more, check out this video over here as I go through a bunch of awesome tips and tricks that you could do with this latest version of macOS. And then this video over here, that's a video that YouTube thinks that you will like. Go ahead and watch that and let me know in the comments if YouTube was right. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.